Disorder of large intestine is constipation. Constipation means slow movement of the feces through the lumen of large intestine, and the feces will be dry and hard. The causes of constipation are: number one, when there is excessive absorption of fluid from the lumen of the large intestine, or when there is insufficient fluid intake, constipation will occur. Number two, any pathological condition which causes decrease in the bowel motion, like for example, presence of a tumor, adhesion, ulceration in the bowel, constriction in the lumen of the bowel. All these cause decrease in the bowel movement, and constipation will occur. Constipation occur rarely in infant, but it might develop when they start to control their defecation at part of their learning, and this might causes inhibition to the defecation center, to the defecation reflex, and then constipation might occur later on in their life. Also, any interference with the bowel habit, any interference with normal bowel motion, it will causes constipation. Like for example, taking laxatives for a long period of time causes a tonic colon, and then constipation might occur. Other disorder is called megacolon or Hirschsprung disease, and this is a congenital absence of some ganglionic cell of my enteric plexus in the sigmoid colon, and it might cause later on loss of peristalsis in the sigmoid colon, and this causes distension proximal to the site, to the proximal intestine, like in the ascending colon, transverse colon, and descending colon, and this is called megacolon. The other disease which might occur, or disorder in the intestine, is diarrhea, and diarrhea is the contrast of constipation. It is a rapid movement of fecal material through the lumen of the intestine, and diarrhea might occur due to many causes. Number one is inflammation of the alimentary tract, and inflammation is either bacterial or viral. So any pathogen enter to the alimentary tract, it will causes increase in the bowel motion, and it will stimulate the secretory glands. So a part of defense mechanism could diarrhea occur to wash these pathogens. Also, diarrhea can occur after cholera, and as we know, cholera associated with severe fluid and electrolyte loss, and in this patient, the loss is about 6 to 12 liters per day, and exceed the normal bowel reabsorption. So it will cause severe loss, and must be treated with fluid and electrolyte. And if they establish replacement early, no patient can die with cholera. But if the treatment is absent, 50% might die because of severe loss of fluid and electrolyte. Diarrhea can also occur due to severe emotional disturbances, psychological upset, due to parasympathetic stimulation, in fact, as it occur during exam, or when the soldiers going to battle. Any emotional disturbances can cause diarrhea. Also, we have a rare disorder, in fact, which is called ulcerative colitis, and in this disease, or in this disorder, the cause is unknown, idiopathic, but sometimes it might be hereditary disorder because it affects certain individual, and in this type we have ulceration and excoriation in the colon, and also it is associated with diarrhea. Now we are talking about some disorder which might occur after a spinal cord injury, and in a particular region, if the spinal cord is damaged at a region above the conus medullaris, between the brain and the conus medullaris, here. The damage is here. And as we know, the defecation, when the rectum is distended, the ascending segment ascend to the spinal cord, and the motor efferent descend to the descending colon, sigmoid, and rectum in order to initiate peristalsis. Part of the signals which come from the brain through the conus medullaris are coming to the anal sphincters to cause relaxation of these sphincters. So if a damage is occur between the conus medullaris and the brain, the relaxation of the anal sphincter is failed to occur. So there is a normal defecation reflex but no relaxation of the anal sphincter. So this patient cannot do a normal defecation, even defecation reflex is present. And the treatment of this patient is by putting enema early morning. The other disorder is vomiting. And by vomiting, we mean that the upper gastrointestinal tract reaches its content. Sometimes vomiting is occur due to a disorder within the gastrointestinal tract. Any irritation of the gastrointestinal tract, or any condition causes over-distension, over-excitation can cause vomiting. But sometimes vomiting can occur from conditions which is outside the gastrointestinal tract, as we explain that later. The sensory signals from the upper gastrointestinal tract, from pharynx, stomach, esophagus, stomach, and the upper intestine in the duodenum, are sent through the sympathetic and vagal nerve, are ascend up to the area in the brainstem. Multiple nuclei in the brainstem are called the vomiting center, and the motor impulses comes down through many nerves. It comes through the cranial nerve 5, 7, 9, 10, and 12. Also, it comes through the spinal nerve to the muscle and to the muscle of the diaphragm and abdomen. And also it comes through the vagal and sympathetic nerve to control the lower tract. When vomiting is started, it starts with antiperistaltic movement. And by what is the antiperistaltic movement? As we know, normal peristalsis is the direction of normal peristaltic movement is from the upper to the lower part of the intestine. But in vomiting, the reverse is occur, which means the peristalsis is occur from the lower to the upper part of the intestine. And this movement is occur in a speed of 3 to 5 cm per second. So if it occur in the lower part of the intestine, it can reach the duodenum within 3 to 5 minutes. And when the peristalsis reaching the duodenum, it will ascend up to the stomach, and because the content reaching the stomach is over-distended. And as we said, the spinal nerve, which stimulate the muscles of the diaphragm and the abdomen, are stimulated they start to contract. So compress the stomach between the diaphragm and the abdominal muscle. So as this compression and over distension of the stomach will causes increase in the lumen of the intraluminal pressure of the stomach, and this increase in the pressure causes relaxation of the lower esophageal sphincter. It opens, so the content of the stomach ascend up to the esophagus. And when the content ascend up in the esophagus, what will happen? There will be a closure of the glottis in order to prevent the passage of the vomitous content into the lungs. Also, the soft palate raised up to close the posterior nares, so the contents not come through the nose. Also, the hyoid bone and the larynx comes up, so it will release the pressure on the esophagus, so there is relaxation of the upper esophageal sphincter. Now the contents ascend up to the pharynx and then vomited out through the mouth. As we said, the vomiting can occur when for a reason which is outside the gastrointestinal tract, and this occurs due to a stimulation of a special receptor called chemoreceptor trigger zone, and these are located in the floor of the fourth ventricle. When these trigger zones are stimulated for any reason, it will send signal to the vomiting center and vomiting will occur. The most common cause of their stimulation are drugs like morphine, apomorphine will stimulate these receptors. Some types of anesthesia. Also, they are stimulated when there is change in the motion, rotation, or change in position of the body, direction of the body, and this will cause, as we know, stimulate the vestibular system in the inner ear, the vestibular labyrinth in the inner ear, and this will send signals to the vestibular nuclei. Vestibular nuclei also stimulate chemoreceptor trigger zone and will stimulate the vomiting center and initiate vomiting. The last subject in our lecture is nausea, which is sometimes occur alone or in association with vomiting. And nausea, in fact, is a conscious recognition of subconscious excitation in area of medulla, and this area usually closely associated with vomiting center. The causes are similar to that which causes vomiting, irritation of the gastrointestinal tract, or it might cause due to impulses which are originated in the lower brain, like motion sickness, or sometimes the cerebral cortex can also initiate vomiting. Thanks.